Hello everyone. So today we'll be discussing about what introduction to cloud, what cloud itself is. Okay. So I'm your cloud facilitator from GDSCAIKTC. So let's begin. So first, let's go with the definition of cloud computing. So the definition is as per NIST, which is US National Institute of Standards and Technology. So they say that cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, which means everywhere, something that is everywhere, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources. Example, networks, servers, storage, applications, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider interaction. So what they say is that it is something which is present everywhere. It can be, it is possible on-demand access, and it has shared pool of configurable resources like it can be network server storage or anything. Okay, and no other person must be involved, right? So let's look at the characteristics of cloud computing. So cloud computing essentially has 5 characteristics, right? So first one is on demand self-service, means as you can see in the picture itself that it's a vending machine, right? So the user is taking a can itself, and then you can pick up any resources without anyone else involving in it. Okay, so means the cloud vendor, they must not involve in it. You must just directly take it. Like suppose you're taking a Netflix subscription, you do not need to contact another person and take the resources, right, in the same way. Okay, then the second one is broad network access. So you can access the service from anywhere over the internet, over the network. So means if you're sitting here in India or somewhere in Russia, anywhere, you can access it. You can access the resources that are on the cloud, right? Then resource pooling. So the cloud vendor, they have some resources within them, and then they provide those resources to the users like us, right? So like Google or Amazon, they have resources, they have a pool of resources, and then they provide them to us. Okay, then we have rapid elasticity, so we get more cloud resources as needed. So if you want, suppose you're using a service and you see, oh my god, there's a raise in the users I have, so you can just elastically provision it, right? So means just extend the services, and as soon as you need, you can get it, right? Here also you do not need to enroll any other person. And then we have major services, so pay only for what you use. So here, as you can see, that pay enough only for the resources that that you use, right? So in that way, these are the 5 characteristics. Again, on-demand self-service, broad network access, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and major service. Okay. So now let's look at the service models. So cloud has 3 service models: SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, or IaaS, PaaS, or a SaaS, whatever. Right. So the first one, let's look from the bottom up. So the IaaS or IaaS, it gives in this you are provided with CPU, memory, storage, and networking, and then you just have to configure the OS and application. In PaaS, the platform is a managed service. So all the user that he provides is the application. So like you can run your code or anything on that, and you don't even need to care about CPU, memory, OS, anything, right? And then SaaS. So SaaS are the applications that we use like Google Meet, Google Drive, YouTube. You do not care about where your data is stored. It's on the cloud. You just go visit the website and use it. Okay. So let's look in details. So IaaS or IaaS, it's infrastructure as a service. So the capability provided to consumer is provisioning, processing, storage, networks, and other fundamental computing resources. So as you can see over here, the yellow boxes, they highlight what the vendor will manage, right? So he will manage. So they will manage virtualization, server, storage, networking. What you will manage is building your applications, the data given to them, runtime, middleware, OS, right? So an example of this is compute engine. You have created VM, right? So in that you configure OS, right? You also configure runtime. You also give to specify the bucket that you will be using data, and you also you can use SSH to install some sort of web server or anything like that, right? And then so all of this is included in IaaS. So when to use IaaS? Suppose you have a capable engineer who can handle such things, then you will use IaaS, right? But suppose you want something to be way too much abstract, then you must go look for the other things. So here we have PaaS. So PaaS stands for Platform as a Service. Means everything is managed. You just need to go sit on the train and enjoy the ride, right? But you have to go there. Like you have to give the applications and you have to give the data. So let's look in details. The capability provided to the consumer is to deploy onto the cloud infrastructure consumer created or acquired applications created, right? And you can even have libraries from the programming languages or anything. So one example is the app engine. So in app engine, all you need to do is just build the application and give the data, right? That's it. Everything else is managed by Google Cloud. Okay. And then let's look at the next one, SaaS. So as we saw SaaS, so here not all the applications are from this SaaS applications. So like Classroom is one of the SaaS, or Google Forms is SaaS, and then we can say the slides is says YouTube Kids, YouTube itself, and then way too much applications are says anyone you can think of many other companies applications as well. Okay, so like Office 365, that is also a SaaS application. Okay, so SaaS means software as a service again. The capability provided to the consumer is to use the provider's applications running on the cloud infrastructure. Okay, so you just use the infrastructure, nothing else you need to worry about, not even about the applications, the data. It will take everything from you automatically. Okay, so that's it. Like Gmail, you use it, Google Drive, it's all about SaaS applications. So let's have a recap. So we have three popular service models: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So as per Gartner, so according to 2022 estimated revenue will be so most widely will be SaaS, then PaaS, then this IaaS, and we will ignore the other ones, and then PaaS. Okay, so other ones can be backend as a service, cloud computing as a service, CaaS, PaaS, anything. Okay, now India is expected to overtake the US in SaaS market by the end of the decade. Okay, so by the end of this decade, we expect that we will overtake the US in terms of SaaS platforms. Okay, then again, this is what this is as a recap itself. So we have on-site, we have IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. So on-site, you need to manage everything: your computers, your what you want to virtualize, your OS, your data, your hardware, firmware, everything. Okay. And then if you have IaaS, you just need to manage applications, data, runtime, middleware, and OS, like we saw in compute engine. We create just a VM, but you do not care about how the VM is created. Is it you have you seen that means you're making a virtual box application or VMware application? No, that's managed by Google, right? And then PaaS, we have applications and data. We have to use just applications and data, and everything else will be managed by the vendor like Google or Amazon. So we can use App Engine for this. Okay, and then we have SaaS. So for SaaS, everything is managed by the vendor. We need not to manage anything. Okay. So let's look at the deployment models. So there are four deployment models and clouds. So it's one of the type of cloud is private cloud. So the cloud infrastructure is provisioned for exclusive use for a single organization comprising multiple consumers. Then we have community cloud. The cloud infrastructure is provisioned for exclusive use by a specific community. So like suppose we have a Google company. So only the people belonging to the Google community, only they can use that cloud resources. Only they can access that cloud SaaS applications or anything. Like suppose Facebook. Now they have Facebook Workplace that is deployed on their workstation on their workplaces, right? So there they use that application. So we need not to use that, but Facebook.com we can use that. But community cloud only Facebook will use. Only Facebook employees will use, right? Then we have public cloud. The cloud infrastructure is provisioned by for open use by the general public. So anyone can use, like Google. So basically in Google also you need Google account. But suppose consider that if we have everyone having Google account nowadays, so we can consider it to be public account. Okay, so it's managed. It can be in some sort of schools. It can be used for school or companies. They have it, right? So Google also offers business. And then hybrid cloud. The cloud infrastructure is composition of two or more distinct cloud infrastructures. Like suppose if we are using Google Cloud as well and AWS as well, then that's an hybrid cloud. So that's all from this session. Let's end with a quote from Mark Twain. The secret of getting started, of getting ahead, is getting started. Okay. So thank you.